Tonight, more protests against 3M's vaccine mandate, but it's not just the workers who are upset.
Plus, today the state played 6 hours of secret audio recordings in the murder trial of Joseph Elledge.
And Missouri children can now receive a COVID-19 vaccine. This is KOMU 8 News at 6.
Coverage you can count on. KOMU 8 News starts now.
Here's what's happening right now. Jurors just finished listening to 9 hours worth of conversations between Mungshee G and Joseph Elledge. Good evening, everyone. I'm Noah Klein. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. It's day 3 of the Joseph Elledge murder trial. The jury is now watching new evidence. KOMU 8's Peyton Headley joins live from the Boone County Courthouse. Peyton, you just stepped out of the courtroom. What evidence is the jury looking at now?
Right now, the court is watching a 3-hour interview of Joseph Elledge with CPD detectives from October 15th, 2019. That's just 5 days after he reported his wife as missing. And before that, we listened to hours of arguments between the two in secretly recorded conversations. We listened to 12 of those audio recordings over the past 2 days. 2 of those were from G's phone, the other 10 were from Elledge.
It's been a terrible relationship. I'm eager to end it. So what do you think about that?
That was just a 15-second section of 9 hours. Elledge was the primary speaker in most of those recordings. Some were civil conversations, others were screaming arguments. And at different points you can hear Elledge, Mungshee, and their daughter all crying. The jury, attorneys, judge, and the defendant listened through wireless headphones. The rest of the court listened through a speaker in the front. And throughout all of the recordings, Elledge sat emotionless, writing down notes on his notepad. And the defense tried to suppress that 3-hour interview with detectives that they're watching right now, saying that Joseph wasn't read his Miranda rights. The prosecution argued that he was never in custody, so those Miranda rights weren't necessary, and therefore the judge allowed it. The prosecution said he hopes to go a little later tonight and end around 7 p.m. Reporting live in Columbia, Peyton Headley, KOMU 8 News.
What's happening right now, firefighters are working to put out a fire in Osage Beach. We'll start with what we know here. The fire started around 3 at a home on Stone Ledge Circle, mile marker 20 at the lake. The home is in a gated community. Several fire departments were on the scene. Some are still there. In terms of what we don't know if there's any injuries here or what caused the fire. We'll bring you the latest tonight at 9 and 10. A movement is growing in Columbia against the federal vaccine mandate. State lawmakers and others joined 3M employees at a protest today. KOMU 8's Wilson Strong is in the studio to tell us more about what it looked like. Wilson.
Evening, Noah. Today's protest was advertised as a day-long event for all Americans against the vaccine mandate. When I got there at around 8:30 this morning, as many as 50 people were already outside the 3M building holding signs with similar messages. For the second week in a row, the sidewalks outside the Columbia 3M plant was full of employees protesting the federal vaccine mandate. Lawmakers who showed up today told me that they plan to work on a bill to push back the mandate. Reporting in studio, Wilson Trong, KOMU 8 News.
More than 530,000 Missouri children are now eligible for the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. The CDC officially approved the vaccine for children ages 5 to 11 yesterday. The state has adopted those recommendations, but is still planning how to deliver the vaccine to local health departments. According to the Boone County Health Department, vaccines will be available in schools in a few weeks. One mid-Missouri parent says she's happy her 10-year-old will be able to get a dose.
We've worked very hard to keep him safe all this time and are just excited that he'll be more safe and more likely to be healthy.
Palmer says she believes getting children vaccinated will help reduce community transmission of COVID. The Pfizer vaccine for the 5 to 11 age bracket is a smaller dose given 3 weeks apart. With CDC recommendation, emergency use authorization for children 5 to 11, Kansas City children can now get their vaccine. Walgreens will be offering vaccines to children nationwide beginning November 6th. Proof of date of birth is required and a parent must be present. CVS will offer vaccines to children at select locations beginning November 7th. Children's Mercy Hospital, the Platte County Health Department, and Lawrence Douglas County Public Health will offer vaccines in KC as well. Here's what's happening right now. The Federal Reserve will begin slowing economic aid as inflation worries rise. It's provided the aid since the pandemic erupted last year. The Fed's announcement comes against backdrop of surging prices across the economy in food, rent, heating oil, cars, and other necessities. A man has died after a fire in a St. Louis apartment building. The St. Louis Fire Department confirmed the death this afternoon. There's no word of any injuries, and firefighters were able to put out the fire. The St. Louis Regional Bomb and Arson Squad is currently investigating that scene. Coming up, how professional sports teams in Missouri are making history with sports betting. And results from a mayor's recall vote in Nixa coming up.
And we're finally doing okay with that pollen count, of course, as we continue now into the colder part of the season. So a great time to have the fresh air going through the home. And when will it finally warm up where you might actually enjoy the fresh air a bit more? I'm tracking that coming up.
Welcome back. Some of the biggest professional sports teams in Missouri are teaming up in an effort to legalize sports betting. KOMU8's Danielle King is in the studio to tell us the steps needed to make that happen.
A week ago today, the St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Cardinals, St. Louis City SC, and Kansas City Royals made history. They are the first coalition of teams to attempt the legalization of sports gambling. In a statement from the teams, as key stakeholders regarding the possible legalization of sports wagering in Missouri, we are united in our goal of supporting a responsible Missouri sports wagering law that is good for our teams, our fans, and the citizens of the great state of Missouri. An attorney in Jefferson City who is working toward a constitutional amendment has submitted 9 ballots for public comment. The ballots include language about the wagering taxes gamblers would face. They range from just under 7% to 21% and would go towards roads and education. The ballot also details how the gambling would be regulated and where the wagering would be allowed. An MU sports law instructor sees the teams attempting to legalize sports gambling as one for the books.
So this is kind of history, quote unquote. It kind of depends on what your definition of history is, but I think it is definitely, at the very least, a turning point.
That turning point all falls on the 9 ballots in my hands. You can find these on the Secretary of State's website and give public comments there. If approved, there's a state approval process before petitions would be available to sign. And if there are enough signatures collected, any of these ballots could be voted on next year. Reporting live in the studio, Danielle King, KOMU8 News.
A mayor in southwestern Missouri survived a recall vote. Mayor of Nixa, Brian Steele, was the subject of a recall effort. The recall came after Steele issued an executive order in 2020 to require masks. Supporters of the recall argued the city council should make that decision, not the mayor. According to KY3, only about a quarter of voters in Nixa supported the recall of Steele. This means he can serve the remainder of his term, which ends here in April 2023.
Now, from the Ford Sports Desk, KOMU8 Sports.
We are live at the Walsworth Family Columns Club at Faurot Field for a really cool event tonight. KOMU8, a proud sponsor of the Taste of the Tigers, an event that helps raise money and awareness for the Central Bank, or the Food Bank of Central and Northeast Missouri. And Lindsay Lopez is the president of the Central and Northeast Missouri Food Bank. And Lindsay, this is a really cool event. And how important is this to what you do every year?
That's festive atmosphere tonight. Sorry, it's a little disrupting. The Score Against Hunger campaign is our largest annual fundraising campaign. This is part of it, and it really is key to the work that we do.
What kinds of things are people getting to enjoy tonight that also really help you out in your mission throughout the state?
We have live auction items, silent auction items. We have some of the best food and beverage vendors across the community. And of course, we'll have Tiger Talk being broadcast live here at 7 p.m. with Coach Drinkwitz and Mike Kelly.
What can people do if they aren't able to be here tonight that can still help you out? Because I know, especially as we've gone through the pandemic, there are a lot of folks who are still in need across the region that you cover, and it's really important.
So true. We would encourage people to go to our website, that's sharefoodbringhope.org.
And what kinds of things do you accept? You accept not only monetary donations, but also food donations, right?
Contributions of food, contributions of money, contributions of time, talent, and treasure. We take it all. So we just appreciate any help that people can offer us.
Lindsay, appreciate it. Thanks for your time, and good luck with the event tonight.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Lindsay Lopez, the president and CEO of the Food Bank of Central and Northeast Missouri. We do have some other sports stories to talk to you about today. Unfortunately, some sad news for Missouri football fans. Warren Powers, former Missouri football coach, passed away late last night. He coached Mizzou from 1978 until 1984. He had a career record at Missouri of 46, 33, and 3. The Tigers consistently knocked off some national powerhouses during Powers' tenure, including Notre Dame, Nebraska, and Oklahoma, an exciting 7 years that he was the head coach. Now, Powers battled Alzheimer's late in his life. His wife, Linda, who was a saint in helping take care of Warren the past few years, recently passed away herself, and the couple did not have any children. Warren Powers gone at the age of 80. Well, the Chiefs host the Packers Sunday at Arrowhead Stadium, but they won't see Aaron Rodgers. The reigning NFL MVP has reportedly tested positive for COVID and will miss at least 10 days. The other layer to this story, Rodgers told the media over the summer that he was, quote, immunized, but it turns out Rodgers is not vaccinated, according to ESPN and the NFL Network. Reports say that Rodgers had a, quote, alternative treatment for COVID that the NFL did not recognize as a replacement for vaccination. Well, the Jefferson City Jay football team back in the state playoffs after a bye last week, and they are one win away from the district championship game. The Jays started out their first season under new head coach Damon Wells 0-3, but they have caught fire behind a pair of 1,000-yard rushers, Kevion Pendleton and David Bethune. The Jays have won 5 out of their last 6 games, and they enter Friday's district semifinal with Kirksville at Atkins Stadium red hot.
They're willing to grow. They don't think they know it all. But most importantly, they show up all the time over the summer, all the time in the spring. They work like crazy, so it's not just football and football practice.
Well, we will look forward to having highlights of the Jays and so many other teams on Friday Night Fever this Friday. For now, live at Faurot Field at this great event, the Taste of the Tigers. Ben Arnett, KOMU8 Sports. Back to wrap up KOMU8 News at 6 right after this.
Of rain isn't until the middle of next week, but a week from today, next Wednesday is going to be your best chance for rain. So it's going to be a lot of dry time, but really a lot of fall conditions are ahead in the next week.
I was going to say it's going to start feeling a little bit more seasonal. Nah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That's our time for now. We'll see you at 10.